Being an entrepreneur is the fight of your life. You don't realize it, but you're fighting for air, fighting for credibility, fighting for your freedom every day of your life. I grew up just like most guys, watching Rocky, and boxing and fighting, and it's the greatest analogy for being an entrepreneur. Because what you do is you go through life eking your way, climbing, and just trying to fight for every dollar. And when clients are still fighting to, cut you down, and then bad things start happening, you question the journey. The more you train behind the scenes, mentally, physically, financially, you get better and prepared for the really big fights. And over time, you get pretty damn good as long as you stay with it. But let's take a look at this house here I'm in. Our brand is, going zero to hero, becoming the hero of your own story. And here we are in another abandoned house to show you what ground zero really looks like. There's a lot of people out there who start from zero, no connections, no money, but have they really been completely abandoned inside now? Have they had no family, no friends to turn to, nobody to ask for advice? Who knows? But going back to those times where it's like this, and maybe you don't have to go back, physically, but mentally, of when you started. What did that look like? Was there anybody around? Did you have money? How did people treat you? This is stuff that I think about all the time. When I first started, my God, I was lost inside my head. I was lost in the direction I was going, and I was just hungry. I wanted so much. And every time I started to get wins under my belt, I reminded myself I could always go back to nothing. Always. So keep fighting as hard as you possibly can. Train when nobody else is watching. A lot of people don't do that. They only train when other people are there to see them. But entrepreneurship is being in abandoned places early on. Nobody around. Training your rear end off. Getting really good at what you do. And then, and only then, can you start to actually earn the fights that will get you attention. Whether it's the big clients, whether it's the big team members. These are battles that you're gonna have to win, not right away, but eventually. So that's why when you go back to places where it all began, and I didn't begin here, but I've had some struggles in my day. At ground zero was scary, and a lot of people would have thrown in the towel and went and got a corporate job. It's scary starting out. It's scary when you're on your own, and it's scary to put yourself in your own hands and fight every day. Because if you stop fighting, you stop winning. If you stop winning, you really can't get too much food or money or even respect. The fighters that are the best in the world, you look at the Mike Tysons, comes from the streets. And he even said on a Joe Rogan podcast that he would never ever want his kid to fight someone like me, like when he was growing up. The reason why is because he was hungrier. People who have it easy, maybe they're born into wealth or have connections, they're just not born with that hunger. And starting from zero is, maybe it teaches you that hunger. You are able to put yourself at an advantage mentally, because if you build it from the ground up, those who haven't don't know what it's like. They don't know what it's like to not have the luxuries, whether it's the food or the people around them or doing it on their complete own. And that's why the fighters of this world, the real entrepreneurs, the people who really go far, usually have this drive inside of them. Doesn't matter what happens in the end, they just have to keep fighting. And I love the analogy of the boxer as the entrepreneur, because whenever you stop winning, people stop showing up, and that forces you even harder to win. Proves all the other people wrong. I've been an entrepreneur for 11 years, and we're finally starting to have the wins be shown. And you start to see people come out of the woodwork and say, man, you're doing a great job. I would never have expected it, because most people would have given up after year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5. The greatest boxers somewhat aren't even sane. To stick with it that long only comes down to something that they only can see. And that's why if you're trying to get good at entrepreneurship or build that business from the ground up or that life, there are going to be days whenever there's nobody around to egg you on or push you on. That's why you can always think back to these days, the ground zero days, as fuel. It's going to motivate you when no one else is around. I'm going to show them, I'm going to prove them wrong, I'm going to prove myself right. And that gives you the strength to keep fighting, keep taking those shots to the face. You're gonna get bloody on your adventure. I mean, whenever I started out, I was getting punched in the face non-stop. Credit cards, debt, you know, electric bill, credit score, all this stuff starts to crumble. But it was my will to stay with it. It was my will to be able to just keep fighting on to prove myself right and to actually win the entire battle. So get bloody, you know. It's gonna be something else for the other people to see, that even when you get bloody, you still keep coming forward. It's tough to kill a man when they just keep coming at you. And so that dream of yours, well, maybe you're getting tested right now and you just don't even know it. And if that fight is strong enough, you're willing to go through the battles, to take people on, to take on the obstacles that other people have given up. Keep swinging, because it is a street fight out there. And the people who stay with it long enough and just keep swinging and get back up when they get knocked down, those are the people who get remembered. Starting from zero, it's a badge of honor. Just keep swinging. Out of here, man. Part of the ingredients to success, if you're starting from zero, it's not just about the fight or even going after what you want. It's survival. It's staying afloat. And it is very difficult in the very beginning to stay afloat, doing one thing long enough to actually make a name for yourself, to get on a platform, if you will. Here we are in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where it all began, and we're on one of the barges that are just hanging on the river here. Nobody uses it. It's already been forgotten about. But being afloat for a long enough period of time gives you a chance to make a name for yourself. And it was the first probably year to 2 years that you just have to do whatever it takes to stay afloat. For other people to know your name long enough that you are trustworthy enough to handle their money and solve their problems. Staying afloat for me meant I actually had to become an Uber driver. I had to take oddball jobs. Yes, I probably could have took a corporate job and paid a lot of debt down right away, which I did at one stage, but not whenever I found my rhythm and calling with book creation. But in the very beginning of the book creation system, I was an Uber driver. I mean, about 4 years ago, I made sure that I had enough money by going out on the weekends and making a little extra money, just so if I didn't get a client that week, I wasn't going to starve. And so the people out there who are going to fail and maybe drown, not stay afloat, are just unwilling to take that hit to their pride. You know, I was dating a girl at the time, and she couldn't believe that I was going to be an Uber driver. Here I am, trying to take on the world and become this, you know, all-time entrepreneur, and I'm an Uber driver. That doesn't make any sense. But in my mind, I kept thinking, I will do whatever it takes to just stay alive long enough to get my name out there. So if there's something that you need to do, whether it's working late nights at some oddball place, I was a janitor for a couple of years, 8-9 years ago, to try to get my startup off the ground. It's in my DNA, so it's very easy for me to do whatever it takes to stay afloat. Do you have that gene inside your body that says, I don't care what people say about me, I know where I'm going, I know I'll get there eventually. I'm not the greatest of swimmers, but I'll get good at it. You know, I hate the water, I am scared of drowning, but I'm willing to take the jump into the river to try to swim the other side. There's a scene in the movie called Tin Cup, where there's a man who just, one of the stories that he's willing to go into the shark-infested waters willing to drown, willing to die, just to prove that he could do it. Now, I'm not saying you have to go into danger just to prove you can make it out, but becoming an entrepreneur and becoming very good at it, you have to be willing to get into those shark-infested waters. Shark-infested waters. Be willing to drown, be willing to die, and be willing to look like a fool in the process. You know, one of the scariest ways to die is drowning. And as an entrepreneur, you might drown in debt. You might drown in bills and expenses. And that's why you should have some type of fear inside of you that says, if I don't make it, you know, my dream dies. And I have to do whatever I need to do to stay afloat long enough. You good. The longer you're in the water, the more you become like a Navy SEAL. You start to become a faster swimmer. You don't get tired as easy. And so, as we're sitting out here on the barge, it's really easy for me to talk about it with you because I know I have it. The great entrepreneurs that I get to interview, the successful ones like in our documentary or the people we help write books, they have this gene that says, you know, I'm not afraid to die, but I am afraid to die doing something that they hate. And so they are willing to get into the water and swim with the most dangerous variables. So get out there, do whatever you need to do. If you need to take that oddball job, do it. But keep the dream alive. Otherwise, you'll never ever be able to get across that river to where you really want to go if you stay right where you're at in a nice, cozy setting. You're just going to let everyone else have the fun. And who wants that?